Since 1954, Terrebonne General has been a beacon of health and hope in our community. As we mark 7 decades of dedication to your well-being, Terrebonne General Health System remains committed to advancing healthcare, improving lives, and expanding our services to meet your evolving needs. In celebrating our past, we look forward to a future filled with promise and progress. Your health is our legacy. To discover more, visit tghealthsystem.com.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it very, very much. And you know, we're always glad to turn to the boys in blue. Whenever we need to get updates, we're always glad to do that when we have things happen here in our state. And our state troopers are taking care of giving us information, providing that information, and helping to keep us safe and giving the recommendations. We're very glad to welcome to the first time Trooper Matthew Gaspard. Trooper, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
All right. We appreciate it. Tell us a little bit about what happened over in Assumption, where we had this situation at MVA that took a gentleman's life.
So yesterday morning, shortly after 5 o'clock, state police received a call to investigate a crash. It was a 3-vehicle crash, and unfortunately, somebody did lose their life. What we know right now at this time is for a Chevy Silverado was eastbound on Highway 70. We're still trying to determine why, but it did cross the center line. It sideswiped a box truck and then continued into the oncoming lane where it hit another GMC pickup head on. One person was seriously injured, and like I said, one person did lose their life.
Yeah, and so again, this is always under investigation. You guys take a lot of time to try and figure out exactly what happened in a situation like this, where the gentleman who did cross the center line is that gentleman that lost his life. Sometimes hard to figure out why it is, but at 5 o'clock in the morning, somebody could have been really tired or sleepy or just not paying attention, right? Any number of things.
Absolutely. That's a good point. There's people coming and going back and forth to work, fatigued, mind on, what he had going on that day, tasks that he had to cover. Just that's why it's always important to kind of focus on the road while we're going. And then it may not have been fatigue at all. Right now, we're not ruling out impairment, but we definitely don't suspect it at this point. Or was there vehicle issues? But for whatever reason, we're going to try to get to the bottom of it on why that truck did cross the center line.
Right. Always glad that the gentleman who was driving the box truck available right away, did a breathalyzer. There was no alcohol suspected, but it was also shown that there was no alcohol in his system and that he had not been drinking.
Absolutely. We like quick results like that, where we can get them back immediately. Like I said, on his part, we're not suspecting any type of impairment.
Okay. And so the gentleman in the 2016 GMC Sierra, that person was injured as well, correct?
Yes, correct. Some pretty significant injuries. Was transported to an out-of-area hospital.
Okay.
We're still waiting to hear back on how those injuries are going to turn out.
Okay. And that gentleman was unrestrained as well. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Both of the drivers in each of the pickup trucks were unrestrained.
And again, it echoes one of those things that we hear from you guys all the time. You come on, you do the information. We provide the information to new drivers, information to drivers who have been driving for a short time, and those of us who have been driving for a very long time. It is always, always, always important to put your seatbelt on. It saves lives.
Yes, sir. We're always preaching it. I'm sure the public gets tired of hearing it over and over after every little segment, but absolutely, we hear all the excuses. It's uncomfortable. I'm headed for down the road a few blocks. That unfortunately, we don't know when these crashes are going to happen, and that's the only way. Buckling up like that is going to reduce the serious injuries, and it's going to increase our survival chances in these crashes.
Yeah, well, Trooper, I can tell you one of the things that made a difference to me in my young life, just after high school, a gentleman of mine that I went to school with, graduated with, was on his way to Nichols, and he was unrestrained, stopped at a stoplight, and the person behind him didn't, and just kind of not a lot of injury to the vehicles, but that particular small injury took his life. The whiplash broke his neck, and he died at an accident that looked like there was no injury at all. And had he been restrained, the doctors believe, and state troop believed, that he would not have had that significant of an injury. And so very often these small accidents, and we know most of them occur within a mile or so from our home, Absolutely. Those can be reduced by the severity of the injury and or no injury at all if we simply wear our seatbelt.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there. A lot of these crashes, you don't know what these vehicles are going to do in the crash. Like you said, it looks like very minor damage, but what our bodies do inside the vehicle, that's where it's important to be buckled up. That way we stay seated in the seat that we were originally in. We're not throwing around the inside of the vehicle or anything like that would cause, serious injuries.
Right. And so not only that, you guys do many, many classes about education. We do that for child seats as well. I'm so very glad that all of our troop areas, especially D as well, put on these classes to make sure that our kids are restrained appropriately and given the education about how old and what weight somebody should be when they should be in the back seat or the front seat.
Absolutely. We're always here for you. We have the contact information on our website. If you have any questions on what child seat that your child should be in, forward facing, rear facing, booster seats, just reach out, contact us. We have troopers on standby all the time to answer those questions and to make sure it's properly installed.
Right, exactly. And so we appreciate that. We appreciate the time and energy. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today. We thank you for your time, and sad news for this gentleman who lost his life, but hopefully it will teach us of what to do differently next time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. All right, guys, that'll do it for this particular segment, but don't go anywhere. A whole lot more right here on Bayou Time.